Over in South Africa, the President Ramaphosa'S State of the Nation address at the Parliament is still ongoing. The initial part of that was disturbed by opposition legislators who booed and disrupted the President's speech, including the Speaker of the House. Mr. President is still now speaking on the state of the country's economy, crime, as well as jobs, as well as the energy crisis. Let's take a listen.
Already moving towards manufacturing electric vehicles, and we cannot be left behind as South Africans. And as we move on, we will be able, yes, to address all these new technologies and industries, because this new period ushers in a number of opportunities. It ushers in a number of opportunities to create jobs. A number of projects are already underway, including the development of the new facility by Sasol at Boegoebaai in the Northern Cape, the Priska Power Reserve in the Free State, and the Hydrogen Valley Initiative in Limpopo and KwaZulu-Natal. The Northern Cape has already attracted well over 100 billion rand in investments in renewable energy projects. Now, these projects, no doubt, are going to create a lot of jobs. There's a lot of new investments that are happening in the Northern Cape. It has ushered in a great deal of hope amongst the people of the Northern Cape. These and other massive investments in renewable energy will create jobs and stimulate local economies, not only in the Northern Cape, but also in the Eastern Cape, the Western Cape, in Mpumalanga, turning even the most arid desert into a giant of energy source. Above all, our just transition will prioritize workers and communities in vulnerable industries to ensure that no one is left behind. Our economy needs to grow much faster if we are to meaningfully reduce unemployment. And in terms of unemployment in our country is a structural form of challenge and problem, but we need to address it. In the State of the Nation address last year, we spoke of our intention to forge a comprehensive social compact that would join all social partners in a common program to rebuild our economy and to enable higher growth. But I must say tonight that we have not been able to conclude a comprehensive social compact in the time frame we had envisaged, because a number of new circumstances emerged that made it difficult for social partners to forge a consensus. But the good thing is, the social partners have expressed their intention. And I've been talking to them up till just yesterday. Both labor, business, and community, they have expressed a clear intention to conclude a social compact and have continued to work on a framework to enable joint action in key areas such as energy, transport, logistics, employment creation, and skills development. I have no reason to doubt the commitment that they have expressed to me. They have also identified a number of areas in terms of localization, social protection, crime and corruption. While we remain committed to forging a new consensus amongst all sectors of our society, we have also undertaken practical collaborations in specific areas. Let me say, it is not like processes of consensus building have not been going on. They have. A number of other compacts have been concluded amongst our social partners. We see the commitment of all social partners in the compacts that have been forged to fight COVID-19 pandemic, undertake the largest vaccination program where we worked very closely with business and labor. We have seen it in initiatives like the Solidarity Fund that mobilize society, that mobilize citizen activism and funding to achieve common goals, and in partnership to end gender-based violence and femicide, and also to respond to the effects of climate change. We have seen the benefits of this approach to promote investment and to develop master plans in sectors of the economy such as automotives, clothing and textiles. Many of us will remember that clothing and textiles had almost been wiped out in our country. Social partners got together and decided that we've got to save our clothing and textile industry. We've seen them work together in poultry, in sugar, agriculture, and global business services. The master plans that have been concluded are supporting the revival of various sectors of our economy. They're also bringing about investment by the private sector and yielding new jobs and supporting livelihoods. We are pleased that the social partners, particularly business, has been providing support to implement the Energy Action Plan in the spirit of social compacting. Similarly, we have developed a close working relationship with both labor and community-based organizations in supporting other aspects of the energy crisis response. Just as energy is essential for economic growth, so is another important area of South African life, a reliable water supply and efficient transport and road infrastructure system. Our rail network has suffered from many years of underinvestment. It has suffered from lack of maintenance. It has also suffered from criminal activity and inefficiency. Now, to address this, last year we adopted the National Rail Policy to guide the modernization and reform of the rail sector, providing, amongst other things, for third-party access to our rail network. Those who have money, that they should come and participate without diluting the important role that is played by government. We are working across government to develop a Transnet roadmap that will translate our policy commitments into reality, including the restructuring of the Transnet freight rail to create a separate infrastructure manager to the rail network by October of this year. Transnet and private sector companies will conclude partnerships at the Durban and Ngqura container terminals to enable new investment in our ports and improve their efficiency. Now, this will help our ports to regain their global position as some of the most efficient ports once again. There has been great success, for instance, in repositioning Port Elizabeth Automotive Terminal, which has more than doubled its capacity and has already seen an increase in exports. Many more vehicles destined for overseas markets are rolling off the Port Elizabeth Automotive Terminal. Transnet is also rehabilitating its idle locomotives and expanding its fleet. And soon there will be a solution to the challenge that, yes, we've been facing with regard to getting our locomotives to move once again. We have faced challenges in the transportation of commuters on passenger rail, and this has been raised sharply by trade unions with us who represent the working people of our country. Now, following the restructuring that is underway in PRASA, 13 commuter rail lines have been reopened, significantly reducing the costs of travel for many workers. The reliable supply of water is essential for the well-being of people and the growth of our economy. As I drink my water now. Now, to ensure water security now and into the future, the Department of Water and Sanitation is leading the process of investing in major infrastructure projects across the country. And the Water Department, the Water Ministry, has a deep knowledge of the water network throughout our country. And they've already made out plans for various water systems in our country and what we need to do. Now, after being delayed for several years, full-scale construction works for the Lesotho Highlands Phase 2 project will commence this year. I will be going to Lesotho with the Prime Minister of Lesotho to go and see the works that are underway. The Lesotho Highlands project is critical for ensuring security of water supply to Gauteng, Free State, Mpumalanga, Northwest, as well as the Northern Cape. Several decades after it was first proposed, and 9 years after a sword-turning ceremony was held, the first phase of Umzimvubu water project will start this year, the very coming financial year, which starts this very year. Now, this phase, which involves construction of the Ntabelanga Dam, irrigation infrastructure, and the distribution of water to surrounding communities, will be financed by government. The next phase to be constructed will be the Lelane Dam, which will include a hydropower station. Major projects to increase the capacity of the Clan William Dam, the Hazelmere Dam, the Tzanini Dam will improve the supply of water to the West Coast, eThekwini, and the eastern part of Limpopo. Now, I went with the Minister of Water and Sanitation to the Guyane project that has been lying fallow for years. And we were able to see the first flow of water, and I have insisted that that project must be completed and the people around the Guyane villages must get their water. Last year, we announced a comprehensive turnaround plan to streamline the process for water use license applications, which is vital to enable greater investment. Since then, we have cleared the backlog of water use licenses and reduced the turnaround time for applications to 90 days. Now, we did identify this as one of the reform processes that we spoke about here, and that has now been reduced. Number of people used to wait up to 3 years just to get a water license. It's now been reduced to 90 days. Our infrastructure build program is gaining pace through the work of the Infrastructure Fund and Infrastructure South Africa, which has been established to support strategic infrastructure projects. One of the greatest obstacles to infrastructure investment is the lack of technical skills, project management capacity. And we have found this weakness across all of government. And to fix this Infrastructure South Africa has been allocated 600 million rand for project preparation, specifically in rural and under-resourced areas. The support and planning mechanisms that we have put in place over several years are now starting to bear fruit in increased public investment in infrastructure. By January this year, projects that are worth 232 billion rand were under construction and projects worth nearly 4 billion rand have been completed. The completed projects include new human settlements in Gauteng, road upgrades and the development of small harbors. In a major development, the South African National Roads Agency, SANRAL, has awarded road construction contracts worth 18 billion rand over the last 3 months. Now, this is where we begin to see real movement, and this is where construction companies begin to see real contracts being awarded. The construction of Msikaba Bridge and Mtentu Bridge will be finished and make travel in the Eastern Cape much better. This investment will substantially benefit the construction industry and enable large-scale job creation, skills development, poverty relief, especially in rural communities. And what I like with these projects is that as they are executed, the community around these projects become part of the project development. They are also involved in a variety of ways. It's not like construction companies that are being parachuted in and they move out. They leave skills developed in the area. Small and medium enterprises also developed and established and growing. Last year, we said we would increase the construction of rural bridges as part of the Welisizwe program to enable residents to easily and safely reach schools, workplaces, and amenities. Now, a number of us would have seen horrific pictures of when the rivers are in flood, people are not able to cross the bridges, the rivers rather, and young people cannot go to schools, and the residents around those rivers are not able to travel at all. Now, 24 bridges in KwaZulu-Natal are currently under construction, and site preparations are being made for a further 24 bridges. Now, this is all being done with the great technical capability of the South African National Defence Force, whom we must applaud because they are building bridges for our country. In the telecommunications sector, one of the things that we spoke about in the last State of the Nation address, the completion of the spectrum auction has been the spectrum auction has been done, and it has unlocked new investment and has contributed some 14 billion rand to the fiscus. During the course of this year, we will migrate the remaining households to digital television signal and complete the switch off of analog transmission. This has taken quite a long time, but yes, better late than never, and that's where we are. Now, saying better late than ever is not a culture and a practice that I want to see continuing in government. I want to see agility, faster execution, and I want to see everyone across government doing their work and making sure that we do indeed achieve what we have said we will. This will release valuable spectrum for the rollout of 5G mobile networks and will reduce the cost of data. These actions will bring us closer to our vision of affordable, high-speed internet access for all. In the State of the Nation address last year, a number of my colleagues who live in the rural areas, whenever I try to call them and they don't have connectivity, they always say, because we are in the rural areas, we don't have that. Now, this initiative is going to enable even the people in our rural areas to have better connectivity like all others in the urban areas. We said in the State of the Nation address that we would concentrate our efforts on mobilizing greater levels of investment, which is essential to growing the economy as well as creating jobs. We said that we would give impetus to the campaign that we embarked upon nearly 5 years ago to raise $100 billion, which then translated to 1.3 trillion rand. Last year, the 4th South African Investment Conference raised 367 billion in investment commitments, bringing our 5-year investment target firmly within sight. Over the last year, many of these commitments have resulted in the companies that made these commitments investing in new factories, call centers, solar power plants, undersea fiber optic cables, the expansion of production lines, the adoption of new technologies. Importantly, these investments have resulted in new jobs and new opportunities for small emerging businesses as well. On the 3rd of April this year, we will hold our 5th South African Investment Conference. At this conference, we will set a new target. Having achieved our 1.2 trillion rand, we will set a new target to mobilize, and this is an investment mobilizing opportunity we have, to mobilize more than 2 trillion in new investment by 2028. Now, the investments that have flowed into the economy to date have contributed substantial increase in local production. These investments have encouraged our efforts to buy local. Last year, I delivered the State of the Nation address wearing a suit and shoes proudly made in South Africa. This evening, I am drinking, and this is the glass. I am drinking water from a glass made in Wadeville last week by workers from Katlehong, Vosloorus, and Germiston. Now, for many years, I can tell you, South Africa has been importing its drinking glasses. Now we are increasingly making them locally. But it's not just glasses. If you go to hospital for an operation, chances, and heaven forbid, chances are that you will receive an anesthetic made in a world-class manufacturing facility in the Eastern Cape. During my state visit to the United Kingdom last year, a South African firm obtained a license to produce an oral vaccine for cholera for the first time here in South Africa.